Please, take care of my son. You don't need to worry about it anymore. They gave me hours and safe, so I think you better just take the money and get away from here. But it's my son. I missed the part where that's my problem. Hey, what the hell? You know you owe me all that money.
Hey! He stole the game! Stop that guy! Stop him! He's got my money! Thanks. Let him off in the lobby and call the cops!
You could've taken that guy apart. Now he's gonna get away with my money. I missed the part where that's my problem.
Hey, stay back.
That's my son! What happened? A shitty company got him shot.
Hey, stay back.
Son? Hopo. So yeah, unfortunately, not even the best of the market can survive the greediness of this world. And not every loved piece of art can stay impeccable when it gets recognized. Today fellas, I make this video not as a letter of hateful speech talking about the same old greediness shitty decision this company take over the years, but as a letter of disappointment and sorrowness, since what we witnessed in this newly released DLC for this amazing game verged on the patheticness. We are talking about a fear that appeared at the moment Gearbox acquired Risk of Rain IP, and unfortunately we were all right about that fear. I wish we were wrong, but we were all right. And you can probably think that I and every other thousand of players are overreacting about it, but trust me when I say that this is no fucking kidding. And what they made here is just a little sign of a big fall that this game may take in the future. And today I'm actually here to compare this DLC with Survivors of the Void in order to prove anyone who still doubts about the absence of content in this fucking paid product. Cause I gotta remind everyone that this shit is a fucking paid product. It started by the new stage. Both DLCs brought 5 different stages to the game, which honestly is the minimum for a paid DLC. So if Seekers of the Storm did not add at the very basic, that would be war between fans. And actually went beyond it, because believe it or not, Seekers brings 3 night variations for its stage. Can you fucking believe it? That's probably what everyone were expecting from it, you know? But now seriously, I must emphasize that a paid DLC has the obligation of bringing new scenarios to the game, since it is supposed to bring new bosses and lore and well, content. And that's where we get to the real problems of this DLC. Firstly, the enemies. Survivors of the Void added 14 different monsters to the game, including bosses, with each one being memorable by their attack set and design. No wonders all of these monsters made their way into Risk of Rain Returns in the future. Also, Hoopu, instead of trying to rely entirely on the first title monsters, they actually had the work of making new ones to fill a perfect gap in the game, which I didn't even know it had. And it's not like these enemies were made just to be an extra thing. They actually have a real impact in your runs, since you see yourself having troubles with them all the time. Like seriously, am I the only one who hates these fucking rats? Or I don't know, these fucking flying stingrays, or the little technological pyramids? And not only the enemies gives a nice touch to the game, but also the 2 elites variants it brings with it, which by the way, in my opinion, were perfectly designed. Like they could have added a lot of elite variants with meaningless traits and colors, but instead it brought only 2 variants, with each one having a unique trait that we can probably understand by simply interacting with it. Like at the moment that you see a mending creature, its appearance already tells you that it is related to healing factors. And as for the Void touch it on the first hit you receive by it, you also understand the danger it is gonna bring to you if you don't be careful on your playthrough. And obviously we cannot name enemies without mentioning bosses. And what can I say? Absolutely amazing. All 3 of them. Like you can tell that this boss belongs to the DLC in every single aspect, going from the design, the attack pattern, the effects, and the idea. So overall, Survivors of the Void was a perfect addition to the game. But what about Seekers of the Storm? Well, Seekers of the Storm, everyone, had a total addition of fucking 4 enemies, including bosses. 4 enemies. 4 fucking enemies. What in the fuck is that? But okay, let's look properly at these 4 enemies. Maybe they are remarkable, right? Well, first we have the child, which just came back from the first title. Second, we have the Scorch Worm, a completely irrelevant enemy. Like, it's like this worm doesn't even exist in my vision. From all of my playthrough, I've seen it very little, and all the times I saw it, it made nothing to me. It was just another enemy to kill in the scenario, you know. Third, we have a little version of that big gold golem. We'll talk more about it later. And for the last, the newest boss, False Sun, which is a nice boss fight, so let's give it a toast. But anyway, how can we be satisfied by this, man? Survivors of the Void added 14 new enemies including bosses. Meanwhile, this fucking DLC has the gut to be released with 4 enemies, with 1 being from the previous title, 2 being a mini version of 2 bosses, and only 1 trying to be a completely new creature. Like seriously, remember when I said about how enemies in Survivors of the Void were able to create a significant impact on your playthrough? Well, forget about the shit with these 4 creatures, cause I don't even feel they're present on my runs. Like, they managed to be completely absent, which is worse than being annoying, cause it's simply like they don't even exist at all, man. Like, if this DLC released without them, it wouldn't make any difference at all, you know what I'm saying? But they don't only bring 4 new enemies, but also 2 new elite variants. First, we have the Gold Elite. What does it do? Nothing special. It steals golds from you, and it's fucking tankier and annoying. Not in a good creative way. Like, you just waste your time shooting at the same enemy sometimes for minutes, you know what I'm saying? And the second, I won't even search for its proper name. I'll call it Horny Mail variant that reflects damage just like a razor wire. But let's be honest, if it didn't exist, it wouldn't make any difference at all. So they were able to fail on the enemies, and it's not like it's a bit worse than the last DLC. No, this shit is basically nothing compared to the Survivors of the Void. But let's talk about the items, cause maybe they made one thing right in this fucking game, right? In Survivors of the Void, we had a total amount of 41 new items, with a new category, the Corrupted Item, which its idea was genius in my opinion, like a reverse version of some normal item that already exists in the game. Meanwhile, Seekers brought 60 items, with no new category. But I'm gonna be completely honest here. I feel like both DLC had a good job with the items bringing some really good shit, like the Sail Star, for example, which, by the way, one of the best items ever made, and it is from Seekers of the Storm, so let's give it another toast. But here's the problem. Seekers of the Storm added only 40% of what Survivors did when we talk about items. And they didn't try to make something new. Like, I feel like instead of wasting their time making these useless elite variants, they could have spent it properly trying to bring a new fun mechanic. But in the end, I guess it doesn't matter to them, right? Since all they need is to fill their fucking pocket with our gold. But now, everybody, we get to the point that really pissed me off and make me worried about everything. So basically, Seekers of the Storm added, listen to me, 16 Survivors skins. Fucking 16 Survivors skin. Am I the only one who gets absolutely frustrated by this? And if you ask me why, let me tell you why. It is not like I don't like having new cosmetic to the game, but when it comes to the point where it becomes the biggest add-in to a fucking paid DLC instead of actual content with new discoveries, mechanics, and hours of playthrough, it just becomes frustrating, because that's how this motherfucking company drags your attention from the laziest ways of getting money to a, look, we are offering a lot of irrelevant amount of cosmetic we could have added with free updates for a significant fair price. Then we, the dumb fans who believes in our beloved game, blindly buys this DLC and discover that it has nothing special. It was a miserable hook with no love, made only to get in our pocket like fucking rats looking for cheese. So that's fucking why I hated the fact that they added 60 new skins to this game. They are simply preparing the territory for future expensive DLCs with no actual content and less skins than this one. Cause believe me, it is gonna be a fucking paid DLC for $20 and 5 new skins, and that is gonna be the only content present in these future DLCs. Okay, but now what is left for us to talk about? Oh yeah, the new characters. In Seekers of the Storm we have 3 new survivors. The Seeker, pretty decent. but honestly I feel like something is missing on her. Like on my previous video about Chef, I talk about how survivors in here and the previous game managed to be harmonic with their skill set. It's basically like each skill was perfectly designed to make sense with the survivor. But that's the problem here in my opinion. Seeker seems lost. It's like her skills could be better built, but somehow the creators got lost on their own ideas and made a mess mix with it. And I can say that for all the new survivors. Next we have Chef. Well, I explained my point on my last video about Chef. So just to summarize, this shit is not the Chef I know from Risk of Rain 1. And they could have done it just like the Chef. I mean, Hoppo made Railgunner just like the Sniper from the first game, so nothing will change my mind about that. And for the last character we have the False Sun, and well, I kind of liked him, but that's just because I like melee characters. But even so, I still feel like he seemed lost in his skill set. Like, to explain what I'm talking about here, I basically loved how in this game I constantly found myself in a situation where I kind of wanted to play with a character similar to Commando, for example, but couldn't find that character because every survivor was unique in their own playstyle. But in this DLC, I can easily compare the survivors to others. Seeker with Artificer, False Sun with Accurate or Loader, and Chef, well, fuck Chef. Chef is the worst character in this fucking game. So despite having more survivors than the previous DLC, Survivors of the Void was able of creating more unique playstyles and design. And that's sad, because I was expecting a similar level of creativity. Now, one of the major problems of this DLC was that it brought a lot of bugs to the vanilla game itself, which is unacceptable. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I was one of the luck bastards who had no bugs on my game, so I won't be talking about that topic. And I don't even need to, because the public has already spoken. And it's very depressing when you think that this game went from overwhelmingly positive on the Steam users review to mostly positive because of one work made by another developers. Here you see how when you put a great touch into a loved piece of art, people won't forgive it, you know, and they will trash talk you in every way possible, which is the right thing to do because we are paying for this shit. And I personally kind of lost my faith in this game from now on. And if you don't think this DLC is much more inferior than the last one, look again, because maybe you're simply having fun with the basic mechanics of the game, since it is a good game. But I am sure that if you pay close attention to the new content, you'll be disappointed just like I am. And don't misunderstand me. It doesn't mean Risk of Rain won't be good anymore. It just means that it won't be the unique game we all fell in love for, and that we cannot expect great things from it anymore. Although I hope that I am wrong in the future, you know. And that was my letter of disappointment and sorrowness about this game. So thanks y'all for watching, and until Sunday.